They may have given you a diagnosis of heart failure, but it doesn't mean the end of the world. It just makes you look at your life differently. I was very, very busy. I was working full time. My 3 children had left home, and sort of busy weekends with the garden and visiting the kids because they're all spread about now, and just very, very busy. I had a flu-like experience. I had a persistent dry cough and my ankles were swelling. So I did go and see my GP. He did a complete range of blood tests and they came back, they were fine. He then sent me for a chest x-ray and they said that my heart was enlarged. I had the echo and then we saw, I think it must have been a registrar, and he explained that I was in heart failure, which was very bizarre for me. It just took your breath away, and you thought, what do you mean? It's such a hard word. Then the doctor came back and said, look, you can't go home. You've got heart block, so we need to fit a pacemaker. Which was, hang on a minute, we'll do it this afternoon.
She really was ill leading up to the diagnosis, and then of course there was the time in hospital, and I think that they changed the medication a couple of times, and then it was the support of the heart failure nurse and Sheila herself learning about the condition as well, and fully understanding it, which she did very quickly, and she's built on that. But
then I came home and I just had this urge to walk, because I thought, I can't sit and do nothing. When you've had such a busy life, you can't just sit and do nothing. You've got to keep moving. My husband used to ring me as he left work, and I used to walk to meet him. And I just walked every day, and I walked a bit further every day, and I've continued to do that. And the next time I had an echo, which was sort of 3 months later, my heart function gradually has improved now. I was very, very, very lucky. I had a heart failure nurse, Sharon, who was absolutely wonderful. She talked me through all of the steps that I was going through. The hardest part was getting onto the beta blockers, because you have to get onto 10 milligrams, because you think, why am I taking something that makes me feel worse? But the benefits far outweigh, and I think everybody should have a heart failure nurse or a Sharon.
Sheila was, she was quite frightened, as anybody probably would be. And she had some understanding of the condition, and some of what she'd read was quite frightening for her. But she was very motivated to take control of the situation herself and to do anything she could to improve the situation, and she worked very well with me, really.
It's very difficult at first, because for me, it was most important that I was normal. I was still me. And people said, oh, you'll be giving up work now, and, oh, you can get this benefit. And I'm thinking, no, for me it was more important to get back to work. Every day I set myself small goals that, the first I used to just once round the house and I was exhausted. My long-term goal was to walk up the 199 steps in Whitby. That was my ultimate long-term goal. I made sure I did it on my birthday. Yes. And that was sort of, I would say, about 9 months after I'd been so ill. And to do that was sort of like, well, I can do things. I am me still. And it was just a wonderful feeling, standing at the top and thinking, well, my life isn't over. Going for a walk is the best thing for me that got me through all this. Because, your heart is a muscle, so you need to move. And you need to keep moving. My middle daughter is getting married on the 30th of July. We're having a marquee in the garden. We did look at all the other venues in the area, but she's always wanted to get married in the village church and walk round to the house and have a marquee in the garden. So that's what we're doing. So it's not just wedding planning, it's garden planning. The garden, I can't think, I've got to weed the garden. I've got to think, right, today I'll weed the drive part. or I'll do a section, but you can't do the whole thing. And if you just look at your life like that, it's better to do that rather than think, because you never start. You just look and think, oh, it's too much. You'd panic. Whereas, you can just break it down into small targets.
We, do things in moderation. We don't sort of, do too much, but we live a perfectly normal life. Which, when you go back to when the original diagnosis was there, we didn't know what to expect.
And now, sort of 4 years on, I live quite a normal for me sort of life. Very busy still, but that's me. I can't stand on the sidelines and watch. I've got to be involved in what's going on and keep busy.